Have you ever wondered why some of the strongest men in history spent long periods alone and came out wiser, calmer, and more powerful than everyone around them? Why is it that the moment people become single, they panic? But the moment a Stoic becomes single, he begins to transform. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video because the ideas you're about to hear could completely change the way you see relationships, loneliness, and your own value. And watch this video until the end, because one lesson near the end might completely reshape your love life forever. There's a story about a man who lost everything he thought he needed to be happy. He lost the relationship he believed would last forever. The daily messages stopped. The calls disappeared. The warmth turned cold. And suddenly, the silence in his room became unbearable. At first, he blamed fate. Then he blamed the other person. Then he blamed himself. But one night, while sitting alone, he realized something terrifying. For years, he had abandoned himself just to avoid being alone. That realization changed everything. And that is exactly what the Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, tried to teach the world. Being single is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is training. It is a hidden advantage that modern society has convinced you to fear. Today, we'll explore 10 powerful Stoic lessons inspired by Marcus Aurelius that reveal why being single may actually be your greatest weapon. The first lesson is this: solitude reveals who you truly are. Most people never meet themselves. They are too distracted by relationships, attention, entertainment, and constant validation. They jump from one connection to another because silence forces them to confront something uncomfortable: their own mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that a man should retreat into himself and find peace within his own soul, not in another person, not in applause, not in external affection, within himself. But modern relationships often become emotional escape routes. People don't date because they are complete. They date because they are empty, and emptiness always creates dependency. The man in our story slowly began noticing something strange. Without constant texting, without chasing approval, without emotional drama, he started hearing his own thoughts again. He rediscovered old dreams. He remembered goals he abandoned. He found strength he forgot existed. And suddenly, being alone no longer felt like suffering. It felt like freedom. The second lesson: being single protects your focus. Look carefully at history. The greatest builders, thinkers, warriors, and philosophers all understood one truth: attention is power. Whatever controls your attention controls your life. And many people lose years of their lives, trapped in emotional chaos, endless arguments, jealousy, overthinking, emotional dependency, constant need for reassurance. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while facing betrayal, war, and pressure from every direction. Yet he constantly reminded himself not to become enslaved by emotions. A Stoic understands that peace of mind is priceless. The single season of life can become the most productive chapter you will ever experience if you stop seeing it as a curse. The man in our story began waking up earlier. He started reading, training, building discipline, learning skills, improving himself. The energy he once spent chasing someone who ignored him became energy invested into his future, and his life began changing rapidly because focus creates transformation. The third lesson: loneliness is a teacher. Most people run from loneliness. Stoics study it because loneliness exposes your emotional weaknesses. It shows you what you cannot sit with. Some people cannot eat alone, cannot sleep alone, cannot exist without attention for even a few hours. That is not love. That is addiction. Marcus Aurelius believed that discomfort trains the soul. The things we avoid often contain the lessons we most need to learn. The man in our story used to panic when alone. Every silence felt heavy. Every empty room felt painful. But slowly, loneliness stopped hurting him. Why? Because he stopped resisting, and he began using those lonely nights to think deeply about his life, about his habits, about his fears. And eventually he discovered something powerful. Loneliness can either destroy you or introduce you to yourself. The fourth lesson, you stop tolerating disrespect. One of the biggest dangers of desperation is that it lowers standards. When people fear being alone, they accept treatment they should never tolerate. Disrespect, manipulation, neglect. Half-hearted. Love, Marcus Aurelius warned against becoming dependent on things outside your control, and another person's affection is always outside your control. When you become comfortable being single, something changes inside you. You stop begging. You stop chasing. You stop accepting crumbs just because you fear emptiness. The man in our story remembered how often he ignored red flags simply because he didn't want to lose someone. He tolerated behavior that destroyed his peace. But now he understood his value, and once a person discovers peace alone, they become impossible to manipulate emotionally. That is real power. The fifth lesson, being single builds emotional discipline. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion, it is about mastering emotion, and relationships often expose how emotionally reactive people truly are. One delayed reply ruins their mood, one argument destroys their peace, one rejection shatters their confidence. But Marcus Aurelius constantly practiced emotional control. He trained himself not to be ruled by impulses or temporary feelings. Being single gives you the perfect environment to strengthen this discipline. The man in our story stopped reacting impulsively. Instead of seeking validation whenever he felt insecure, he learned to sit with discomfort. Instead of needing attention to feel worthy, he built self-respect through action. Slowly, his emotions stopped controlling him, and people noticed. Because calmness is rare in a world addicted to emotional chaos. The sixth lesson, you learn the difference between love and attachment. This lesson changes everything. Many people are not in love. They are attached. Attachment says, I need you to complete me. Love says, I choose you while remaining complete within myself. Marcus Aurelius taught that nothing external should own your inner peace, and attachment gives other people control over your emotional state. The man in our story realized that what he once called love was actually fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of loneliness, fear of not being enough. But true love cannot exist where fear controls everything. So instead of desperately searching for another relationship, he focused on becoming whole first. And ironically, that made him more attractive than ever before, because confidence grows when neediness disappears. The seventh lesson, your standards rise when your life improves. Here is something nobody tells you. The better your life becomes, the harder it becomes to accept toxic people into it. When you're bored, insecure, and directionless, almost any attention feels exciting. But when your life gains purpose, peace, and discipline, chaos becomes unattractive. Marcus Aurelius constantly reflected on virtue, discipline, and character. He believed your environment shapes your soul. The man in our story no longer wanted relationships built on drama or insecurity. He wanted peace, mutual respect, depth, growth. And because he spent time alone improving himself, he could finally recognize the difference between genuine connection and emotional distraction. That's why solitude is powerful. It raises your standards naturally. The eighth lesson, silence increases your value. Modern society rewards noise, constant posting, constant explaining, constant chasing. But Stoics understood the power of silence. Marcus Aurelius rarely wasted energy trying to prove himself to others. He focused on becoming strong quietly. The man in our story stopped announcing everything online. He stopped chasing attention. He disappeared for a while, and something surprising happened. People became curious. Some who ignored him suddenly returned. Others noticed his calm confidence. Why? Because silence creates mystery, and mystery creates respect. A person who is comfortable alone radiates a different kind of energy. Not arrogance, not bitterness. Presence, strength, self-control. The ninth lesson. You become dangerous when you no longer fear loss. This may be the most important lesson in the entire video. Fear controls people. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being alone forever. And because of these fears, people betray themselves every day. But Stoicism teaches acceptance. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that loss is part of life. Everything external can disappear at any moment. Once you truly accept this, fear loses its grip on you. The man in our story eventually reached a moment where he no longer feared losing people, not because he became cold, but because he finally understood that his peace did not depend on anyone staying. And that realization changed the way he walked, spoke, and lived. Confidence is not believing everyone will stay. Confidence is knowing you'll still be fine if they leave. That mindset is rare and incredibly powerful. The 10th and final lesson, being single gives you time to build the life you truly want. Most people waste their single years waiting for love, waiting for validation, waiting for someone to save them from boredom. But Stoics believe life is happening now, not later, not after a relationship. Now. The man in our story finally understood that he had been postponing his own growth for years. He kept believing happiness would arrive through another person, but happiness built on another human being is fragile. So he started building a stronger foundation. He improved his health, his finances, his discipline, his mindset, his purpose, and eventually something unexpected happened. He stopped feeling incomplete. For the first time in his life, he felt whole on his own, and that is when relationships become healthiest. Not when two broken people try to save each other, but when two complete people choose to walk together without losing themselves. Marcus Aurelius once said that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Think about that carefully. If your thoughts tell you being single means failure, you will suffer. But if your thoughts tell you that solitude is an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, calmer, and more disciplined, then your entire life changes. Being single is not evidence that you are unwanted. Sometimes it is evidence that life is preparing you for something greater. A stronger mind, a stronger purpose, a stronger future. And maybe the real tragedy is not being alone. Maybe the real tragedy is never learning how powerful you can become when you stop depending on others for your worth. So if you are single right now, don't rush to escape it. Use it. Train yourself. Strengthen your mind. Build your future. Learn who you truly are when nobody is validating you. Because the person who masters solitude becomes unstoppable. And one day, when love finally enters your life again, you won't approach it from desperation, you'll approach it from strength. And that changes everything. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time,